The worst kind of prison is the one you don't know you're in, and for too many women, that prison is believing they're not enough. My friends, listen to me. You've been fed some heavy lies. Somewhere between the Instagram filters, heartbreaks, and bad advice from people who barely understand themselves, you started to believe you weren't the one. Not pretty enough. Not fun enough. Not his type. And that lie, it's been stealing your shine in silence. But what if I told you that you've been attractive this whole time and just didn't know it? What if the way people look at you, act strange around you, or slide into your DMs out of nowhere isn't random? It's a signal that you're the one who forgot your power, not the world. The world remembers. You just got distracted. Before we dive deep, do yourself a favor. Press that like button, hit subscribe, and stay with me. Because this isn't just another list. This is a wake-up call in your love life, your confidence, and how you see yourself. Hey ladies, imagine this. You're a walking sunbeam, not a flashlight, not a flickering candle, a full-blown, warm, golden sun. But instead of letting yourself shine, you've been walking around with an umbrella over your own head, wondering why no one feels your heat. You're waiting for someone else to tell you you're glowing while you're standing in your own shadow. That stops today. Let me tell you a story. Picture a girl at a party. She's not the loudest, not wearing the sparkliest dress. She's sipping her drink, minding her business, laughing soft when something's funny. But without realizing it, people keep looking her way. Not because she's trying, because she's not. That's the power of quiet confidence. It doesn't scream, it doesn't chase, it pulls. That girl could be you. Denzel Washington said something once that hit me hard. Ease is a greater threat to progress than hardship. And that hit different. You see, being overlooked by the world isn't the hardest part. The real fight is the moment you overlook yourself. The moment you decide you're average, while the world is trying to figure out why they can't stop thinking about you. And you know what's crazy? The most attractive people don't walk around begging to be seen. They don't perform. They don't hustle for love like it's a paycheck. They walk like they've already been chosen. That's the secret sauce. Not louder, not cuter, just sure. Sure of their worth, even when the room is silent. And the signs are there. You just haven't been trained to notice them. That guy who fumbles his words around you. That random woman giving you side eye for no reason. The compliments that make you uncomfortable because deep down, you're not sure you believe them. But the world is trying to tell you something. And today, you're going to finally hear it. So if you've ever looked in the mirror and thought, what do they even see in me? This is your answer. They see your fire. They feel your presence. But until you feel it too, you'll keep playing small. Not anymore? Stick with me, because by the end of this, you won't just recognize the signs, you'll walk like the sign. The walking, talking, radiant proof that you were never average. You were just unaware. So hit that like button, subscribe, and stay with me. Your glow up isn't coming, it's already here. Number one, men get nervous around you. Sometimes people don't pull away because you're too much. They pull away because you're more than they know how to handle. My friends, let me tell you something that'll shift your whole perspective. When a man gets nervous around you, it's not because you made a mistake. It's because your presence made an impact. The way you carry yourself, the way you speak, the calm in your voice, even the silence between your words, something about it shakes him up. And not in a bad way, in a way he didn't see coming. Think of it like this. You ever seen someone meet their favorite celebrity? They freeze up, they smile too hard. They say something weird and immediately regret it. Why? Because greatness makes people stumble. When someone's in front of a force, they don't fully understand, they panic a little. That's what happens around you. You're not doing too much. You're just not forgettable. But here's what happens in your head. Did I say something wrong? Did I make him uncomfortable? Maybe I should tone it down next time. No, sis. Stop. That's the fear talking. That's the inner doubt whispering that maybe your light is a problem. That maybe if you just dimmed a little, they'd feel more at ease. But the truth, the right man won't be scared of your shine. He'll be inspired by it. We've been lied to, taught that if a man backs off, it means we did something wrong. That if he seems off around us, we need to fix ourselves. But let me drop this on your heart. Sometimes your strength, your softness, your peace, all at once makes a man check himself. That's not rejection, that's recognition. And his awkwardness, that's respect, baby. But here's why this is hard. You've been conditioned to overthink everything, conditioned to believe love only comes when you make it easier for him, more comfortable, more familiar. So when a man looks at you and fumbles, you don't see power, you see failure. But your power was never supposed to feel small. It was supposed to make the wrong one feel unready and the right one feel awakened. So let him stumble, let him get shy, let him lose his train of thought. Because when you walk in your full self, you shift the air. And the right man, he'll feel that nervous energy too, but he'll gather himself and show up anyway. Stay with me, we're just getting started. Hit that like button, subscribe, and remember, your presence doesn't need permission to be powerful. Number 2, people glance at you repeatedly. The eyes don't lie, even when the lips stay silent. My friends, you know that moment when you feel it, like someone's watching you, and as soon as you turn, they look away like a kid caught sneaking cookies before dinner? That's not your imagination. That's energy doing what words haven't dared to yet. You're being noticed. You've been seen. Not in a loud, dramatic movie scene kind of way, but in that quiet, undeniable, can't look away kind of way. It's wild, right? You're just existing, sipping your coffee, walking down the grocery aisle, not trying to be anything but human, and yet eyes follow, quickly, awkwardly, repeatedly. Then the doubt creeps in. Was something on my face? Did I look weird? Why are they staring? We're so used to questioning ourselves, we miss the truth that's staring right back at us, literally. Here's the deal. Attraction doesn't always come in compliments. It doesn't always say, wow, you're beautiful. Sometimes it just looks over and over again. That's interest, that's curiosity, that's presence so strong, it pulls their attention before they can stop it. But because you're not trying, you assume no one's noticing. You think attraction has to be loud, obvious, or flirtatious to be real. Nope. Real presence, it doesn't need to announce itself. It gets caught glancing again and again while pretending it's not impressed. So the next time you catch someone looking and then pretending they weren't, don't brush it off. That's not coincidence. That's confirmation. You're not invisible, you're magnetic. Number 3, you underestimate yourself but still get compliments. Sometimes the last person to see your beauty is you. My friends, let's talk about those moments when someone compliments you, your smile, your vibe, your glow, and you brush it off like it's nothing. Oh, stop, I just threw this on. I look tired today. You're just being nice. But what if they weren't? What if they saw something real, and you're the only one who doesn't? We've been trained to downplay ourselves, to believe that humility means denial, but denying your beauty doesn't make you humble. It makes you blind to your own light. And here's the crazy part, even when you don't see it, other people still do. Your energy speaks before you do. Carl Jung said the unconscious mind doesn't lie. That means people often pick up on your presence before they even understand why they're drawn to you. You ever say, I feel so blah today, and someone turns to you like, are you kidding? You look amazing. That's not pity. That's not flattery. That's truth speaking into your insecurity. And you keep swatting it away like a fly instead of sitting with it like a gift. Here's the thing, when enough people keep telling you something, maybe it's not them exaggerating, maybe it's you shrinking, maybe the world's been trying to hand you a mirror and you keep turning your head. So the shift, it's simple. Stop arguing with the truth. If someone says you're glowing, believe them. If someone compliments your spirit, your smile, your energy, receive it. That's not arrogance, that's awareness. Confidence isn't being loud. It's just agreeing with what the world's already been trying to tell you. Number 4, people seek you out for small reasons. When someone keeps finding reasons to be around you, it's not the pen they're after, it's your presence. My friends, have you ever had someone come up to you with the most random request? Hey, do you have a charger? Can you help me with this tiny thing I probably could have Googled? I just remembered something funny I had to tell you. And you're standing there thinking, why me? Let me tell you why. Because your energy is warm and people feel safe in it. They're not drawn to your answers, they're drawn to you. It's easy to miss. These moments don't come with fireworks or confessions. They come with small talk, nervous laughter, casual questions, but what's underneath it? Curiosity, connection, that feeling of I don't know why, but I just want to be near her. And the wild part, half the time, they don't even realize they're doing it. We think attraction has to show up with flowers, grand gestures, and heart eyes emojis. But sometimes it shows up holding a stapler, asking if you've seen the office key, that coworker who lingers, that acquaintance who always seems to bump into you by accident. These are not coincidences. They're quiet ways of saying you feel different. You're not just someone to talk to, you're someone people return to. Because you're easy to be around. You don't drain the room, you soften it. And even if you don't see yourself as magnetic, the people around you are already orbiting. So the next time someone comes to you for something small, smile a little. Not because it's about the thing they asked for, but because, without even trying, you became the reason they showed up at all. Number 5, other women criticize you without cause. Some people don't dislike you, they dislike how small they feel standing next to your light. My friends, let's talk about those sideways comments, the cold stares, the eye rolls you didn't earn. You walk into a room just being yourself, smiling, confident, not even trying to stir anything, and somehow someone gets uncomfortable. You hear a snarky comment about your outfit, you catch a glare that makes you pause, and you start wondering, did I do something wrong? Let me stop you right there. No, you didn't. What you did was show up with peace, presence, or beauty, and some people just don't know how to handle that. You didn't offend them. Their own reflection did. Because when a woman walks in grounded in herself, not needing validation, not playing games, it triggers something in people who haven't done that work yet. It's not jealousy in the cartoon kind of way. It's deeper than that. It's the quiet discomfort someone feels when your strength reminds them of their insecurity, when your confidence makes their self-doubt louder, and instead of dealing with that, they throw shade at your light. You'll be tempted to shrink, to tone it down, to second guess. Don't. That's the trap. The moment you dull your energy to make others feel better, you abandon the very thing that makes you powerful. So let them look, let them talk, let them deal with what your presence brings up for them. Your job is not to manage their insecurity, it's to protect your peace. Because the woman who can be kind in the face of criticism and still walk like she belongs, that's the woman no one forgets. Number 6, strangers smile at you for no reason. You don't have to sparkle to be seen. Sometimes your calm is the loudest thing in the room. My friends, have you ever walked past someone and they just smiled, no flirting, no reason, just a soft grin like you reminded them the world was still good? Or maybe the barista adds a little heart in your foam. A cashier compliments your vibe. These aren't random moments. They're quiet responses to your energy. See, we're told attraction is loud, that it needs red lipstick, bold moves, attention-grabbing entrances, but some of the most magnetic people, they walk in quietly and the whole room just softens. That's you. Your presence is safe, peaceful. You carry a kind of warmth that people can feel even if they don't know your name. It's the way you stand, the calm in your eyes, the softness in your hello, and people notice even if they don't say it. Not all attraction is romantic. Some people are just drawn to you because you feel like peace in a world that's loud and fast and draining. You ever see someone exhale when they talk to you? That's energy exchange. That's rare, and rare gets remembered. But because you're not performing, you assume it doesn't count. You think, I'm not doing anything special. But that's the point, you don't have to. Just being you is already shifting the atmosphere. So when strangers smile at you for no reason, smile back, because your energy, soft, genuine, grounded, is doing something most people are too burnt out to offer. You're not trying to impress, you're just showing up real. And in a world full of noise, that makes you unforgettable. Number 7, you get attention online without trying. Real doesn't beg to be seen, it just is, and that's why it stands out. My friends, let's talk about your quiet influence. You post one blurry selfie, maybe even second guess it, and suddenly likes, comments, DMs. You didn't even try, no filter, no strategy, just you. And still people feel it. That's not a coincidence, that's presence. You're not just pretty, you're real. And real is magnetic in a world full of curated noise. We've been told you need to pose a certain way, show more skin, use the right caption, play the game. But what if your biggest power isn't in the pose, it's in the parts of you that aren't trying? That picture you almost didn't post because you thought it was too plain, that quote you shared that came straight from your heart, that's the stuff people remember. See, people online aren't just reacting to pixels, they're reacting to energy. They scroll past perfect all day. But when someone's presence feels genuine, it makes them stop. It makes them feel. And that's you, even if you don't realize it. You ever notice how the posts you barely think about get the most love? Or how people say things like, there's just something about you. That's your authenticity doing what filters can't. So no, you don't need to be louder, flashier, more polished. You just need to keep being honest, keep showing up as the woman who doesn't chase attention, but somehow keeps pulling it anyway. Because when your spirit is real, people don't just like your posts, they feel them. And in a world where everyone's trying to stand out, the most powerful thing you can be is real. Number 8, men in relationships notice you even if you don't want them to. You don't have to ask for attention when your presence already shifts the air. My friends, sometimes you're just existing, walking into a room, talking to a friend, laughing at something harmless, and suddenly he's looking a little too long, a little too often. And then the confusion hits. Wait, isn't he taken? Let's be clear, attraction doesn't come with rules, it doesn't check for wedding rings or relationship statuses before it shows up. That's not on you, that's human nature. What is on you, though, is how you carry it. You didn't dress for him, you didn't speak to impress, you didn't flirt, you simply were. And somehow your energy stirred something in someone who was supposed to be settled. That's not your guilt to carry, but it is your signal to rise in maturity. It's wild how many women start shrinking in those moments, blaming themselves for someone else's lack of control. Maybe I was too friendly. Maybe I should have worn something else. No, love, you weren't the problem, you were the mirror. And sometimes people look into your light and realize how dim things are where they came from. The key is this: don't engage, don't play into it. Don't let someone else's confusion pull you into chaos. There's power in being noticed, yes, but there's even more power in knowing what to do with that attention. Real women don't need validation from men who can't even honor what they already have. So walk in the room, let your presence speak, let the energy shift. And when eyes follow, no, it's not about your outfit, your smile, or your walk. It's about your essence. And the woman who knows her worth doesn't use it to stir drama. She uses it to set boundaries. That's not pride, that's power. Number 9, men get confused around you. A man unsure of himself will always be unsure about you, even if he's drawn to everything you are. My friends, let's talk about the confusion, the hot and cold energy that makes you question everything. One day he's all in, compliments, long talks, deep stares, and the next, silence, distance, like he vanished into thin air and you start spiraling. Did I say too much? Was I too strong, too real? Let me stop you right there. That push and pull, that inconsistency, that's not about your worth. That's about his capacity. Some men don't ghost because they're not interested. They ghost because they are, and it scares them. You walked in with a calm they didn't know how to hold, a presence they couldn't play games with, and when someone hasn't done the inner work, your depth doesn't feel like comfort. It feels like pressure. Think about it. You've got your own lane. You're not begging. You're not performing. You're not chasing. That kind of energy, it either calls the right man forward or sends the wrong one running. And when he doesn't feel enough, he'll start pulling away, not because you're too much, but because he doesn't know who he is next to you. He'll flirt, then disappear, pop back in just to see if your light is still on for him. But you're not a lighthouse for lost men. You're a home for someone who already knows where he's going. So no, you're not confusing. You're just clear. And that kind of clarity either awakens a man or exposes him, your strength, your softness, your certainty. It will attract someone grounded and scare off the ones who still need to find their footing. Let them go. That's not rejection. That's divine protection. Number 10, you don't realize your own power. You're not just being watched, you're being followed, and not everyone claps while they copy. My friends, sometimes the quietest power is the most overlooked, especially when it's yours. You walk into a room thinking you're just there to blend in, but somehow the vibe shifts. A few weeks later, someone's wearing their hair like yours, quoting something you said like it came from them, picking up your laugh, your style, your energy, and you don't even notice. Because you're not trying to lead, but you are. You don't see yourself as powerful because it doesn't feel like what the world told you it would. You're not loud, you're not bossy, you're not dominating rooms with ego. But let me tell you, your calm confidence, your quiet class, your effortless grace, that's power. Real power doesn't make noise. It makes impact. Carl Jung talked about our shadow, the parts of us we don't always recognize, even when they're in plain sight. And for you, it's your influence. You don't fully see how much you shape the space around you, how your presence lingers, how your way of existing gives other people permission to soften or to step up. And the wildest part, you're still out here second-guessing yourself while people are out here studying you, copying the very things you once felt unsure about. So here's the shift. Stop dimming what you haven't yet defined. Just because you didn't label it power doesn't mean it's not working like it. You don't have to roar to be respected. Sometimes the woman sitting in stillness is the one with the most influence in the room. And so don't apologize when your energy shows up louder than your voice. That's not arrogance. That's alignment. You were never just pretty. You were powerful. You just didn't know it yet. Number 11, your absence speaks louder than your presence. Sometimes the loudest thing you'll ever say is nothing at all. And my friends, here's a truth most people won't tell you. Your absence is powerful, maybe more powerful than your presence. You think you're just one person, just one smile, just one voice in the room. But the moment that you leave, people feel it. Conversations dip. Energy shifts. And suddenly it's like the room forgot how to breathe without you in it. And you don't always see it right away, but pay attention. You stop texting someone and they suddenly remember how to reach out. You skip the gathering and hear it wasn't the same without you. Not because you were the loudest, not because you performed, but because your presence held a frequency, a peace, a warmth, a spark. And when it's gone, the silence says everything. It's easy to underestimate that kind of impact, especially when you're used to giving without asking for credit. You assume you're forgettable just because you're not flashy. But real power doesn't need a spotlight. It reveals itself in the void you leave behind. See, anyone can fill a room with noise, but few can shift it with nothing but their energy, and you, without even trying, do exactly that. So when you wonder, did they even notice I was gone? Trust me, they did. Maybe not with words, but with that feeling in the air that something was missing, that something was you. You've been thinking your value comes from how much you do, but often it shows up in what happens when you simply don't show up at all. That's not ego, that's presence. And the woman who understands the power of her absence, she's the one they never forget, even after she's gone. Number 12, silence with you isn't awkward, it's intense. The most unforgettable people aren't always the loudest. They're the ones who make silence feel like a conversation. My friends, have you ever sat with someone and said nothing, yet it felt like everything was being said? No pressure to fill the space, no awkward laughter, just presence, just energy, just you. That's not awkwardness, that's intensity. And not everyone knows what to do with that kind of quiet. You see, real connection doesn't demand noise. It doesn't rush to cover silence with words. In fact, the deeper the bond, the less performing is needed. You've probably felt it before when someone looks at you and time seems to slow down. A stillness, a calm, a pause that somehow says more than a full conversation ever could. But here's the twist. Because you're not trying, you assume you're not doing anything. You think, should I say more? Should I be more bubbly? No. That presence you carry, that peace in your silence, it speaks, and people feel it. even if they don't know how to name it. Yet you're not awkward, you're deep, you're not cold, you're calm. And the truth is, not everyone can sit in that kind of silence without squirming, because it brings things up, it forces honesty, it creates space for realness. And realness, it's rare. That's why your quiet hits different. So don't rush to fill the air. Let your presence do what your words don't have to. Because when someone can sit with you in silence and still feel seen, still feel stirred, that's connection, that's power. And you, my friend, are not just heard when you speak, you're felt when you don't. And there it is, my friends, 12 quiet signs that you are so much more magnetic than you give yourself credit for. You don't have to chase, perform, or prove. Your presence already speaks volumes. Now that you see the signs, it's time to walk in them. Own your power, protect your peace, and remember, you've been the glow this whole time. If this message spoke to your soul, go ahead and like, subscribe, and drop a comment sharing which sign hit home the most. Stay connected, because your next level starts with awareness, and you're already there.